Evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Mussar Mondays. It's so lovely to see all of you. Welcome to our newcomer, Anna Marie. Thank you so much for joining us. Al, it's good to see you back. Everyone, Pascal, look at you. It's good. Great to see you here. So, the topic we spoke about last week, anybody remember? Gratitude. Very good. And the exercise that we had with gratitude was to
appreciate.
Very good. To think into the details of how much you benefited from someone else's work, from someone else's thought, from someone else's caring. Now we have to, I find that one of the most important traits that we need in today's generation is the trait we're talking about tonight. And that is the trait of patience. Patience, patience, patience. Do you know that today we're being recorded right now here on Facebook? We're being recorded live. We even have a Chatan, Alexei Bobilev, who's watching us here live. Welcome, Mazel Tov. And you know what's amazing? Is that these devices that we have, whether it's our phones or our cell phones, or for many people their cars, these are highly technological devices. And you know what's amazing about them? Is that they do work that used to take hours and hours in seconds. You would have to write a letter, find an envelope, get postage, drop it off at the mailbox, at the post office. 3 days later, it'd be shipped. It would take sometimes a week or two to get to the other side of the country if you wanted to send it. The other person would have to pick it up from the post office, and so on and so forth. Today, you compose an email, click send, goodbye. Done. They got the mail. They got it, right? Amazing. It's teaching us not how to be patient. It's teaching us how to be impatient because it's not moving fast enough for us. Right? My technology is broken. I'm going crazy. Patience is a very, very important trait if we want to be happy in life. Okay? Now let's talk a little bit about what is the trait of patience. All right? Around the room, who thinks they know what patience is? Yes?
Sanity.
Sanity. Okay, I like that. I like that.
Tolerance.
Tolerance.
Not getting what you want when you want.
Not getting what you want when you want.
Being able to wait or rely on Hashem's timing.
Okay. Knowing that there's a right time for everything and the Almighty will give you what you need when you need it. Very good.
Delayed gratification.
Delayed gratification.
Humbleness.
Humbleness. Very good. Humility is very good. Anything else? Any other definition that we can come up with? Now we're going to have to come up with a somewhat joint understanding of what this trait is if we want to really work on it, so that it's a trait that we all understand, because we see that everyone has a different perspective to the same trait. So we have to get a very clear definition. Okay? Now that's going to be part of our task. Does everybody have the sheets, the worksheets? Everybody got a worksheet? Okay, excellent. Do you have a copy for me, please? So I can show it here. No? You just pass me yours for a second. Pass me yours for a second. I'll need it at the end of class. Oh, but this has your name? It's fine.
It's fine.
Okay, great guy, Camden Wagner. You should get to know him. So here, for all of my friends here on Facebook Live, this is the META worksheet. And the META worksheet will give us an opportunity at the end of class to journal everything that we learn here. Okay, we'll be able to journal the definition of the trait. We can introspect and mark ourselves where we hold with this trait. We can set a work path of how we're going to attain this trait of patience, and then accept on ourselves a specific Kabbalah, acceptance of how we're going to apply change to our daily life. So what we're going to do is we're going to first start, thank you so much, Camden. What we're first going to do is define the trait. What is this trait? Okay, so first is kindness is a trait that draws people together, like we mentioned. Anger moves people apart. What is patience? Patience is the subcategory of humility, like you said. Patience is the subcategory of humility. Arrogance is well, I would say anger is the subcategory of arrogance. Okay, so you have arrogance and humility as opposites, and then you have patience and anger as subcategories. So, what happens when a person gets angry, and why do they get angry? Usually, it's due to a lack of patience. If you just had 2 more minutes of patience with the car in front of you, or the person online at the supermarket trying, right? That little bit of patience would go a long way. If you ever see someone angry, apply patience before that anger and you won't have anger. So a direct result with the lack of patience is anger. That's what's going to happen. If a person does not have patience, they will have anger. And that's why it's important for us to really find a way to work on this trait so that we can really be calm, pleasant people and always have a calm and pleasant demeanor about us. Okay, so let's start like this. While true humility is a very big trait to acquire, okay, for someone to really be humble, and we're going to talk about humility in the coming weeks, patience is much easier to accomplish and is well within our reach. Patience is not that difficult. Patience is just, it starts off by just not saying a word, right? You don't have to say it. Just don't say it,
Yeah.
right? Why did you need to say it? You just say it and you blew it, right? Just keep the mouth shut. Don't forget, this is a very interesting thing. All limbs of our body, okay, your ear. Now, imagine this, okay? Boo! Did you hear me? Did you have to wake up your ear to say, okay, I want to listen now, and then you hear the sound? No. It's instantaneous. Okay? Your eye does have a protector. You have to raise your lids and suddenly, boom, you see. Okay? It's not enough to just, right? So you raise your lid. But your smell, you don't say, you know what? I'm going to try to smell now. Right? No, that's not what happens. You just smell. All of your limbs function just by their state of where they're at. The Chavetz Chaim tells us the only limb that needs to be unlocked is our mouth. Our mouth is the only trait that must be unlocked. Not only it needs to be unlocked, you have to activate the tongue in order to speak. So you have your lips, you have your teeth, which are the 2 gatekeepers, and not only that, you have a limb, right, a tongue, or flesh, let's call it, right, that is resting, and you have to move it in order to speak. So you have to wake it up, so to speak, right? In order to start talking. And then you have to also have, because it's not enough if I close my lips, or if I close my teeth. So we have 3 mega protectors for our words that we use, for the mouth. It's important for us to learn to use those barriers. Use the lips, use the teeth to keep your mouth shut. Even if it's just 2 minutes till the person leaves, and now you can just let it out to someone else. That's fine. At this stage of the game, right, when we're working on patience, wait till we talk about anger. We'll get to anger. But right now, when we're working on patience, hold back those words. Hold back those words. So, patience is a very general midah, a very general trait that influences and is rooted in many other traits. Its importance is great because if harnessed properly, if not harnessed properly, I apologize. If it's not harnessed properly, can ruin relationships and harm friendships. It can destroy relationships, just not having proper patience. Right? Now, We said that it's rooted in a level of arrogance. Why? What is arrogance? Arrogance means me. I'm the only one who counts. I'm not waiting for anyone. I. All the I's, you can put any adjective after to define that I. But it's the I first. That's a problem. Right? If it's about me, then I don't care about the other person. Patience means I need to be patient with the other person. Because if I'm not patient with the other person, what's the result again? Anger. It's going to happen. No one wants to be angry. No one wants to run around like a madman. Okay, so a couple gets together. They're dating. They're in love. Okay? It's inevitable that there are differences. They may not see it yet, but they each have different habits, different skills, different talents, different likings. Only with patience can they get along. This one likes to eat this way, this one likes to eat that way. This one likes to read these kind of books, and this one likes to read that kind of books. This one likes this kind of music, that one likes that kind of music. This one likes this kind of vacation, this one has that kind of vacation. That doesn't mean that you're not a great match. But you're going to need patience. To learn to appreciate, to learn to love, to learn to enjoy something that's not in your, repertoire, something that's not in your habits. To me, it's the most incredible thing the way college students live today. So by the time they start, very few today get married before they go to college or during college. Most people get married after college today. So that means that they probably had a good 4 years of living on their own or living with their roommates and getting into certain habits, and suddenly they're going to welcome someone else into their home through marriage, and they're going to have completely different habits. Completely different habits. This is the time and place they do their laundry, and this is the time and place they do their laundry. Right? One may like to just pile everything up till they have nothing left in the drawer. Then they have to do laundry. The other doesn't like when there's anything that's dirty. They want it immediately cleaned. Everyone has a different way they run a home. Right? One likes to do the dishes, one doesn't like to do the dishes. One likes to take out the garbage, one doesn't like to take out the garbage. One likes to do the shopping, one doesn't. It's fine, it's normal. But patience is the ingredient that's required for that relationship to grow. Without patience, there's no way there'll be success in that relationship. Okay. So the same thing goes, by the way, with partners in business. The same thing goes with friendships. It goes with roommates in college and otherwise, right? You need to have, my rabbi used to say, having a difficult roommate is a segula, is an omen to have a very good marriage.
Yeah.
Because you learn to get along.
Yeah.
Right? You have no choice. These are your roommates, and you have no choice. There's no way out. So if a person learns and practices that, I must say, okay, and I'm on Facebook Live, so I can't share too much information, because for all I know, my friend might be watching. It's not going to be pretty. But when I was in yeshiva, I don't know why, but whoever was in charge of the dormitory, either God decided that this should be the case, or someone had a good sense of humor, but they put me and my roommate, who are absolutely on the polar opposites of every universe, in the same room. I would go to sleep early, he'd go to sleep late. I'd wake up early, he'd wake up late. I was organized, he was a mess, right? Yeah, at least I'm saying I was. I tried to be, okay? I had food, he was hungry. He was like, we had these. So I tried to get along as much as possible, but it wasn't always possible. I tried. But what was funny is that while we were roommates, we really did not get along that well. That's the truth. It was only 5 years or so later that we met in New York. This was in Jerusalem in yeshiva. We met in New York and we became best friends. And today, 20 years later, we're still best friends. And you know what? We still have every difference in the world. And that's okay. Because you don't have to be the same to like somebody. You can be different. Even the idea is that differences can make you grow. Differences will make you grow if you use this one ingredient called patience. It's so beautiful to go, like we've mentioned this, if you want to work on patience, invite a friend who has the polar opposite political opinion than you, and treat them. You be the gentleman, and you treat them to coffee on you, their latte, and talk for 1 hour about politics. All right? They believe this way, you believe that way. It's perfectly fine. You don't have to agree, and you can still hug each other after, and you can still offer them a ride after, and your children can still have play dates after. It's fine. You don't have to agree, not even about politics. Right? And you don't have to like the same types of foods, and just because they don't like the same type of foods doesn't mean they don't like you. And doesn't mean that they don't respect you. And doesn't mean they don't care about you. And doesn't mean they can't be friends with you. Differences are a tool for us to understand God. Is anybody here who thinks they think like God? Anybody here can say that, I think just like God thinks. In fact, I had someone tell me yesterday, it was shocking, and I corrected him as soon as I heard this. He says, well, God is a little bit less understanding than me.
Somebody said that to you?
Yes. I said, well, he's around for a heck of a lot more time than you, and has had to put up with a lot more differences than you. I think he's just a little bit more patient than you, right? Just a little bit more understanding than you, right? How many times can we say in our lives that we rebelled against God? We went against the will of Hashem. Well, potentially many, many times. And did he just wipe us off the map? Did he say, you know what? You didn't act like the way I wanted you to act? You know what's going to happen? I'm going to put you in the woodshed for a week. No, he didn't say that. What did he say? I'll give him another chance. You know why? Because tomorrow will be better. Patience. God is perfect in his patience. Right? How many times were we tempted to eat something we shouldn't eat, and we say, God doesn't really care, right? Yes, he does care. If he didn't care, he wouldn't write it in his Torah. And yet, he's patient. He doesn't smite us the moment we do something wrong. That same patience is the patience we need to learn to emulate. We need to learn to emulate God. With patience. And just as God exhibits patience, so too we need to exhibit the same kind of patience as God. What is patience? Patience is like someone carrying a heavy load, and even considering its tremendous weight, he continues walking with the load on his back. Imagine you're holding on your back. You ever see the Arabs, how they carry things? The Arabs, if they have a big container or a truck, they need to deliver refrigerators and things like that. So they get the refrigerator, they edge it towards the end of the truck, and then the guy bends his back, right? And they carry it on his back, right? And they can slap it up 5 floors like that, on their back. Right? Now, it's heavy. There's no question it's heavy. It's very heavy. Does he drop it? Because what's going to happen if he drops it?
Lose his job.
Well, he'll lose his job. It'll also break the refrigerator.
Refrigerator hurt
Right?
himself.
Not himself.
Right. But you understand? So it's heavy, yeah. And it's not pleasant. No one wants to have a 300-pound refrigerator on their back. But it doesn't mean you drop it. That is patience. Patience is when there's something that's a burden on your shoulder, And by dropping it, meaning yelling, losing that patience, you know what happens? You're going to break it. Just carry it a little bit further. It's okay. Now, I just have to give a disclaimer here, especially people here online. Welcome, Linda. Especially people online. You have to understand something. There is a difference between working on your traits and needing mental health, potentially. If someone has an issue, a lingering issue, something that they need to talk about, you need to talk about that. And you need to find a professional who can help you, find a therapist who can guide you, right? But we're talking here about average, normal person, which all of you are, and who has a healthy balance of emotions, right? Which all of you are. And in most cases, right, we can handle, okay, so it's, you know what, someone's saying something that aggravates me, I'm not going to go outside and yell, right? I'll just carry it, okay, so you know what, take me 10 more minutes and I won't be bothered by it. But I'm not going to say anything, I'm not going to yell, okay? Carry that burden a little bit, because what happens if you let go of that burden? What happens? It's going to break. You know what's going to break? The relationship is going to break. Your character might break. Right? Here you're a person who was so calm, so relaxed, and suddenly you start getting into a craze. Why? Because someone said something you didn't agree with. Someone likes this candidate or likes that candidate. Someone supported this organization instead of your organization. Someone didn't come to your child's bar mitzvah and you invited them and you came to their bar mitzvah. They didn't reciprocate. People have calculations from here to wazoo.
It's true.
Right? It's okay. You can be patient and not judgmental and just take it easy. Take a deep breath and everything will be okay. What's the matter? Dave, you don't like it?
No, I like it.
No, I see you don't like it.
I like it. It's okay.
Patience, Dave, patience.
Patient.
Good. Okay. So even if we hear things which aren't our speech, you hear something which is not to your liking, it's not your style, we can still remain friends. It's fine. We don't have to agree with everything. Someone criticizes, teases, insults, or complains unjustly to you. We can still carry that burden. It's fine. Nothing will happen if we just carry that burden. You have someone who's a kvetch. Who's a kvetch, right? They're kvetching about everything. So they kvetch. Okay? So what'll happen if they kvetch? Is that come join us. Is it so bad if they kvetch? Is it so bad? Okay, so it's a little bit annoying. So it's a little bit frustrating at times. It's fine. Okay? Recognize that one outburst of anger and or frustration is like throwing the load off your back and everything breaks. A patient person doesn't throw overboard a friendship for his personal unleashing of a load. Right? It's a personal unleashing of a load. I have that burden on my back, and I want to let go of that burden. So everything breaks all over the place. All right? That's the parallel of lack of impatience. Of course, we must be cautioned that patience should not bring about carelessness or lack of concern. Okay? Just because we're ready to tolerate. I'll tell you something that I learned. You know, many of you may know that Torch has a program called Shalhevet. And Shalhevet is a division in which we go teach in many, many different congregations around the city. Right? All the way from Clear Lake to Humble, to the Woodlands, to Spring, to Cypress, Katy, West Houston, Sugarland, and all inside the loop as well, and inside the 610 and the Beltway 8. We have 18 different congregations that we teach at. And you know what? Not everybody thinks alike. Not everyone thinks alike politically. Not everyone thinks alike religiously. Not everyone thinks alike with their understanding of God or heaven and hell or anything else. But that's the beauty. The beauty is that we can be patient with one another and talk things over and discuss. You know, it's like you look at the Talmud, you have the amazing words of the Talmud. And the Talmud, we don't see that the Talmud, you know, they lose patience with one another. They don't lose patience. On the contrary, we see that I think it was Rav Preda. Rav Preda had a student. And the student took him a long time to understand the concept that he was teaching him. So Rav Preda repeated the entire lesson to him again. He still didn't understand it. Repeated it to him again. And again. 400 times. Now imagine trying to repeat something to someone 400 times. Imagine. That's a lot of patience. And you know what happened? He was about to repeat it another 400 times. And the Talmud goes into explaining why he didn't repeat it another 400 times. Because the student, someone came to tell him that they needed him. I think it was for a wedding. So the student was already so he said, he can't focus anymore. But he would have continued another 400 times had he needed to. Because patience means I don't care about myself for this moment. I care about the other person. Or, say it a different way. I care about my spirituality so much that I'm ready to be more patient with someone else. Yes, you can have an annoying sibling and you can have an annoying parent or an annoying child. It's fine. Not everyone's like us. Not everyone thinks like us. Not everyone acts like us. Not everyone drives like us, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay? Which is a really beautiful thing here in Texas, that people don't really honk the horn like they do in New York. In New York, you don't even get out of the airport, and then they're honking. I was like, come on, I just got here. I'm on vacation. Leave me alone, right? All right? So it should not be that we ignore and or never comment on other people because we don't want to criticize, right? Right? We should critique, but in a non-angered fashion. Right? We'll talk about this in one quick second. And with the complete intention to help the other correct their way when the time is right. So, you know, what is criticism? What happens when we criticize someone? And why do we criticize someone? So, the Talmud tells us an amazing principle. The Talmud says, that brings the words of the Torah, there's an obligation in the Torah to criticize your fellow man. There's a mitzvah in the Torah. If you see someone doing something wrong, you have to go tell them. Says the Talmud, just like there's a mitzvah to correct someone when they're doing something wrong, if you know they will hear what you say, adds the Talmud. If you know they won't hear what you say, it's a mitzvah not to say anything. So let's repeat that. If you know that they're going to listen to your critique, there's a mitzvah to tell it to them. If you know that they will not, there's a mitzvah not to say anything. It's a mitzvah not to say anything. So take that example. You're driving your car. And the car in front of you stops in the middle of the road to talk to their friend, and they're like, "Hey, how are you? Good to see you. Well, yeah. You're waiting behind them, right? You gonna honk your horn?
Yes.
Right? So I'll tell you, it depends where you are, right? If you're in Houston, you'll just wait. Okay? Well, you got to be careful because they may have one too, right? Okay. If you're in New York, you honk the horn. If you're in Israel, you don't honk the horn. You pull up next to them, you get out of your car, and you start yelling at them. Okay? What do you think? This is your father's road? Right? And they start, right? So you start. Now, the question is like this. Is anything going to happen from that? Is anybody going to move because of that? No, they're just going to yell back at you. You shout profanities. They shout back profanities. Right? What's the benefit? Who is there? So the problem is that we don't think. We don't think, is this criticism going to really change someone? Is this criticism going to really elevate somebody? No. So why am I criticizing them? Because I'm frustrated. Because I unleashed that burden. What happens? It shatters. The character shatters. The essence, our calmness shatters. Our personality shatters. So, yes, if you have an issue with someone, right? Now, it's not that you have an issue. They have an issue that you're concerned about because it's not good for them. You have to find the right time, a right place, and a right method to express that criticism in the most loving way. And you need to make sure that you're not saying it out of anger, and that you're not saying it because you have hatred, and not saying it because you have any type of emotion behind it, except the love and care that you have for that individual. That's the only emotion that you should have. I care about this person. That's why I'm doing this. I'm not doing it because this is me. It bothers me. Right? I can wait another 10 minutes behind your car. But for you, it's just not a nice thing to keep other people waiting.
I hear the response coming, but I can't say it.
But you already know what they're going to say.
Yeah, that's right. I don't
So I'm
wanna
going to say a blessing here. Please answer Amen after my blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nihiyeh b'dvaro.
Amen.
All right, thank you. Okay, so
That's the same thing with people that just leave their car in the middle of the road.
right. Well, you know, it's the problem is that we're living in a culture of selfishness. It's all about me. It's all about me, and it's all about now. Today we need to learn this patience. We need to learn it really well. It's such a critical, an essential tool for humanity. Anything that involves another human being. Oh, by the way, we'll talk soon about having patience with yourself. But anytime you're dealing with other people, we must learn to strengthen that muscle. It's a muscle. You need to strengthen that muscle of patience. Having patience for other people, with other people. Okay? What we see from here is that all relationships we have are not coincidental. The people we interact with, we carry a certain burden of them upon us. Okay, the Torah tells us, the Torah would not obligate us to criticize, constructively criticize someone else if you weren't meant to meet each other, if you weren't meant to be friends, if you weren't meant to notice those things. I guarantee you there are plenty of people that you don't need to meet and you'll never meet in your life because you know what? There's nothing you need to teach them. There's nothing you'll learn from them. But there are people you'll meet that there's perhaps something you can learn from them. A good trait or a negative trait that you should stay away from. Or a friendship that you should learn to nurture and give to one another. But that's the greatness of a friendship. A friendship, when a friend, a true friend, tells you something, of a critique, you trust them. You know they're not out to hurt me. They don't want to harm me. They love me. They care about me. So why are they saying this? Not to insult me. They're saying this because this is to my benefit. Okay, let's move on. You know, there's a story, I mentioned this in one of the classes, I don't know if it was in this class a few weeks ago, in the Mussar Mondays a few weeks ago, or if this was, but this is an incredible story. So if you hear only one thing, listen to this story, because this is an amazing story. Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, the great Rabbi Moshe Feinstein is the leader of the Jewish people in such an incredible way in the city of New York, with understanding every area of halacha. And understanding every area of Talmud, of Mishnah, of both the Babylonian Talmud, of the Jerusalem Talmud, of every word of the Torah, of every word of Maimonides and Shulchan Aruch, and he just had an unbelievable mind and an unbelievable character. So it was Friday afternoon. We know the busiest time in every Jewish home is Friday afternoon, right before Shabbos. It was a few hours before Shabbos, and everything's hectic. In Rabbi Moshe Feinstein's home, And it was a phone call, so one of his students picked up the phone. Rabbi Feinstein wasn't there at the moment. And picks up the phone. There's this elderly woman on the other end of the line, and she says, "Hi, can I please speak to Rabbi Feinstein?" He says, "I'm sorry, Rabbi Feinstein's not available. Can I help you?" So she says, "Yeah, I wanted to know what time candlelighting is." So the student says, "The candlelighting is 6:35, whatever time it was." He says, "You don't need to call Rabbi Feinstein for candlelighting time. You can look at any Jewish calendar, and it says candlelighting time. I can send you one too. You don't need to bother. Rabbi Feinstein's a very holy man. You don't need to bother him with this time." You know what the woman responded? "I've been calling Rabbi Feinstein for 25 years. He never said anything about calendars." Imagine this woman very possibly opened up the yellow pages, right? She looked for Rabbi in her community. She found the Rabbi. She called the Rabbi. What time is candlelighting? She knew who the Rabbi was. She knew how great his books are. We have some of the books here in the third shelf, all the way on the left over here, the Igros Moshe, right? The most incredible work on halacha in the past half century or century. Unbelievable work. She knew. Did he care that she knew? No. She's another human being. She's another human being. I care about every human being. So he had patience. He demonstrated that patience every single Friday when this woman called, and no matter how hectic it was, yes, told her what time it was. Didn't mention anything about, I only have 3,000 students waiting for me right now, but I'll take your call. No worry about it, right? Nothing. No guilt, nothing. Just pure love for another human being. Pure humility. I'm not too holy to care for someone else. And that's true humility, but also true patience. Okay, so step number 1 is to exercise 15 minutes a day by tolerating differences. 15 minutes a day. Try to tolerate differences. You know what? There are radio programs that can help you. Okay? If you're a Democrat, there are plenty of talk show hosts you can listen to while you're driving. And if you're a Republican, there are plenty of talk show hosts you can listen to when you're driving. And you can listen to the opposing views and stay calm. Stay calm. It's okay. They don't have to say everything the way you like it. And they don't have to say everything the way you think it. It's fine. Right? That's the exercise in patience. 15 minutes. Not more. 15 minutes a day. Exercise, listening, and accepting something, an opinion that you don't appreciate. Or you can even practice something else. Listen to music you don't like. Right? Listen 15 minutes to music you don't like. Right? And there's music you can listen to, death is more pleasant than that music. Right? I'm not talking about death metal. Right? I'm talking about death. Okay? Whether you hear something you disagree with or whether you see something that you dislike, we accept that not everything is our way. Not everything needs to be your way. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to appreciate it. It's fine. You have to tolerate it. 15 minutes. You think you can do it? Pascal, you can do it?
I was just thinking of this verb to tolerate since the beginning, and then just now that's what, and that's why I wrote tolerance big like this.
Okay, there you go. Beautiful.
So, but I hadn't made the parallel between being patient and being tolerant.
But I think it's tolerating humbly.
It's a combination of things. It's not just okay. I'm just gonna tolerate anything, right? The idea is we're using this as a training ground. This is spring training here. We're about to start the season. When is the big test? Do you know when the big test is? Anybody know when the big test is? The big test is when we pass away and we move on to the next world. That's the test. Here is the training ground. Here, now I guarantee you that when you leave tonight, or perhaps like this, perhaps when you came, you said, you know something? I'm a really good guy. Patience is one of my strong points. It's one of my strong suits. I can handle a lot of things. I tolerate a lot of nonsense from my spouse, or from my children, or from my partner, or from my coworkers, from my employer, or my employees. I can tolerate a lot. And now we're talking about it, for a good hour or so. And you'll see, one second, there may be some dimensions. I want to know how many of you tonight or tomorrow will have your first major challenge with patience. It's that you get that phone call, you're like, hold it, okay? Okay, what's level 2? Level 2 is we need, however, to learn from Hashem about patience. The first of the 13 attributes of God is patience. Even if mankind sins against God, He is patient. More than just patient, God is also slow to anger. He still gives and benefits those who hurt Him. Right? We gave this example. Imagine your child comes to you and says, Mom, $10. What would be your response right away?
For what? For what?
What? Excuse me? Is that the way you think you're talking to your mother or your father? Excuse me? And the child responds, Mom, $10 now. Okay? What is the likelihood that anybody here in the class will say, oh yes, darling, how would you like it? In singles? 5s? 10? Right? Anybody here would respond like that? You would? No, you wouldn't, David.
Maybe after today's class, right?
Right? Of course we wouldn't. The chutzpah? Who do you think you are? Who taught you how to talk like this? You say, please. You say, I have lunch I need to buy at school, and I keep on working as a babysitter, and I ran out of my babysitting money. Can you help me? It's something. Dad, where's the money? Unheard of. So you say, excuse me, ask like a mensch. Ask like a mensch, and then we can talk. And your child comes over to you and gives you a slap across the face and said, I said $10.
It would not be $10, that was going to be going to my time.
All right. What would you do now? Imagine, take any commandment in the Torah. Right? And we say, you know what? God, tough luck. I'm not interested in that. God says, I'm asking you to do this commandment. Right? Here's the problem, though. The problem is the commandments that God gives us are not rules to make us suffer. They're rules to help you maximize pleasure in life. So it's your own bad, your own harm to yourself. Right? When we do a sin, we want to eat something that God tells us not to eat. You think, of course God cares because He loves us. It's like a parent who sees their child hurting themselves. Right? What parent is going to say, you know what? I've got no problem. Go beat yourself up. Knock yourself out. I don't care. Right? Punch your head through that window. I don't care. Get cut. Well, any normal parent on planet Earth would say, fine. No way. What do you mean? It's my son. I care about him. I love him. God is no different. God says, I know he's going to sin. So I'm going to take it away from him so he doesn't sin? No. I'm patient. God's patient. And God is forgiving. And God gives us another chance. And gives us another chance. And we trample right on him again. And trample right on him again. And trample again. And God says, I'm still going to give him another chance. Yes?
So if God has perfect patience, what about Nadab and Abihu?
Oh, very good. You know what? Breakneck through the Bible on Tuesday nights. We'll get there soon.
He's there.
Yeah, really.
We'll get there soon. We have Tuesday nights. I'd say give us another 6 months. We'll be there.
Patient.
So hold the question. Be patient. Yeah. There. Okay. So if someone hurts us and we use our patience properly, we need not stop giving to that person. Imagine this, okay? True story. Okay? Your friend calls you up and says, hey, are you heading to the class tonight? I'm like, yeah. Do you want to ride? Yes, please. Happily. I'll come by. I'll pick you up. Okay? 5 minutes, I'll be at your house. Okay? You're about to leave your house. The plumber that you were waiting for the whole day, you thought wouldn't come because they called you from the office saying they're going to come tomorrow, knocks on your door. Okay? And you're like, oh my goodness, okay, fine, I'm not going to go to the class. And you just go, you show them where they need to this. You're going to want to leave the plumber in the house alone. And they're fixing this, but you totally forgot that your friend is waiting outside. Okay? So the next day, you call your friend, hey, we're going for a walk. Like, silence on the other end of the phone. Like, is everything okay? Do you not remember what happened last night? You like totally, oh my goodness, I totally forgot. I'm so sorry. I cannot believe it. I'm so sorry. Right? Yeah, sorry. Psht, hang up the phone. Right? You call them back. You go to their house with flowers. I don't know what you do to try to appease them. What is the likelihood that that relationship gets cured like that? No. There's a whole repair process. There's a whole healing process, right? A healing. I don't know if I can trust you anymore. I don't know. Am I a real friend? Right? You can get all these questions. Okay, so we go against God. We do things potentially against God. Does he say, you know what? No more snack for you tomorrow. No more lunch for you tomorrow. I'm going to keep on taking away privileges till you realize what you did wrong. No. God keeps on giving and giving and giving and giving. Doesn't pull the plug on it. And then when we ask, that person does ask forgiveness, do we forgive right away? Do we forgive with a full heart? No, we still hold a little grudge maybe. Yeah, I forgive them, but I need some time. Right? Well, we all know what that means. It's not the way God is. Because if you are selfless, and it's really about the other person, you don't take it to heart as much. Right? You didn't, right? I'm here because I care about you, because I love you. Right? You said you're not going to do it again. Let's move on. Right? And what's if you do it again? Right? Think about it. God is patient and forgiving. And patient again and forgiving again. Endlessly. So, that's, I think, a small example of how we need to use God as our metaphor, as our example of how we need to conduct ourselves with patience. Okay? So, step number 2 is to exercise patience for 15 minutes a day by not only tolerating differences, but still maintaining our kindness to the person with whom we disagree or have been hurt by. So this person just took your seat, right? You had your pen and paper there. Someone took your seat, and you know what? You're going to sit down next to them and still laugh with them. Right? And you're still going to joke around with them, and you're still going to have a good time, and when they ask you to borrow the pen, you're not going to say, okay, yeah. Right? No, you say, sure, here you go, right? With love, with joy, as if it never happened. That's part of patience. Patience doesn't mean I hold a grudge. It means, you know what? Be smooth. Be let it flow. Right? It's settling with you, Ed? You're comfortable with that? Okay, great. We will accept on ourselves this week to set aside 15 minutes, and we will be patient and tolerate anything that happened in that period. So if you take any 15 minutes of your day, not the ones in which you're sleeping, and you know what? If you're a father of a little child, that 15 minutes at night might come in critical, right? Of patience. Your child starts crying and starts, right? Okay. So whether someone insults you, whether someone says something that you completely disagree with, or if I say something that I dislike, or in no way can we allow this thing to disturb our inner peace. And if a response is necessary, it must be calculated and measured to the point that we will not have any emotions in our response. Right? So that means that if someone did something that really, really upset us, or really humiliated us, right? So you're with a group of friends and they say, hey, why were you not there at the party last week? I know why. All right? And everyone's waiting to hear why. And you're like, because you're cheap, right? Because you're, right? You're like, you're so insulted, and you're hurt, and you're like, I can't believe that. Not only they said that to me, okay, and they know that that's not true, right? But to say it in front of other people, and the other people don't, I'm so hurt. Guess what? It was between those 15 minutes, erase it. It was during those 15 minutes that you're working on your trait of tolerating and being patient with other people. Sorry. Now, if it was 16 minutes after you started, so fine, maybe you'll be able, right? But even then, you have to make sure when you do correct them, you talk to them, and it could be sometimes an hour later, or 2 hours later, or 2 days later, 2 weeks later, 2 months later. Make sure that when you say it, you're saying it not because you're angry, but say it because you care about them. And you care about them to the point where if they were married, their spouse will be hurt the same way. And their children will be hurt the same way if they're not. It's like, imagine it's like a bull in a china shop, or any shop for that matter, right? It's going to do damage, right? Seeing someone who has a flaw like that is going to cause damage to other people. That's what you want to save them. You want to save them those other relationships. You care about them, which is why you're going to tell it to them. Yes?
Is patience part of forgiveness? Is forgiveness part of patience, or are they the same thing?
One leads to the other. The first step in patience, we said, is to tolerate that not everything is going to go your way. Not everything you need to agree with. So forgiveness now is much easier. Okay, because someone did something wrong, right? Okay, they don't have to do everything right like the way I think right is. Right? So it didn't go my way. It's fine. Right? You hear what I'm saying? Okay. Okay, so now let's move on to the next trait, next part of this. Okay, kindness is a trait that draws people together, we said, and anger moves people apart. It breaks relationships apart. We must be patient with ourselves. So it says we are judged only by what we are capable of, not anymore. Okay? We have to know this. It's very important. My parents told me this from at a very young age. You will not be judged to do what someone else is doing. You will be judged about what you are capable of doing. Just because your neighbor's doing it doesn't mean you have to do it. Right? One of the big challenges that parents feel with educating their young children is that they feel that if their neighbor's kid does something, their kid needs to do it. If my neighbor helps their mother bring their bags in from the car, right, from the grocery, then my child should do the same. If they're helping, their guests when they come into the house, would you like something to drink? Can I take your coat? Can I? Look at your child, you're like, I can't believe my children are so disrespectful. Right? I can't believe my children are so uneducated. I can't. And you start yelling at your children, you start screaming at them. Whoa, relax. You have to only, of yourself and of your family and of your children, expect what they're capable of. Not what other people have. Right? So, in many other countries, children start reading and writing at a younger age than they do in the United States. When I was in yeshiva, and I was 15 years old, I knew barely how to read a page of Talmud. And I went to Israel at that time. And these young students who were younger than me, I was 15, they were 13, they would do speed reading of the Talmud. And they knew everything. They understood every question, every answer, because they've been learning it for 5-6 years already. Right? So it can get very frustrating. It can get very, you can go down hard on yourself. How come I don't know this? And you become impatient with yourself. Hey, what am I expected? To do what I'm capable of. So I'm going to have to take a slower pace. I'm going to have, right? Imagine you go into the gym. You go into the gym. You go, you got a nice stomach. You're like, that's it. I'm determined. I just paid for a membership for 2 years. Too bad. Right? I'm either going to waste the money or I'm going to make something out of myself. Okay? So now that's it. You're going to do it. You're determined. So you go in, and you look around, you want to see who else looks like me, right? And you look around, and you see everyone is ripped. They're pulling up iron, right? And they're going like this, and they're not even sweating. And you get on that treadmill, you're like, right? Guess what? Perfect opportunity to be patient with yourself. Perfect opportunity. I am not expected to be like them. I'm expected to take my step. This is, and be proud of it. It's fine. You're on your journey. They're on their journey. When you become a salesperson in a new business, you don't have to sell like the number 1%, the top 1%. You have to be the best you can be. And try your hardest to be the best you can be. That's fine. Be the best you can be. No one's obligating you, and your obligation will never be by God to be like someone else. You have to be the best you, and not anyone else. Okay? So, we are judged only by what we are capable of and not more. We must keep trying. There's a famous statement in the Mishnah in Ethics of Our Fathers, and that is, Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor. Your job is not to attain perfection. Aval iyata ben chorin lihi batel mimena. But you're not free to stop trying to attain perfection. Seek perfection. Try to go after perfection. Yeah, that is your obligation. Aim for the sky. You may not hit the sky, but aim for it at least. Shoot for it. Try to become the best. But it doesn't mean you're going to actually achieve the best. Okay? You have to keep trying though. And that's our only job. Our job is to try. Nothing more, nothing less. Try the best you can absolutely, the best you can do. Okay, so we have like this. There's an important thing. It says that 7 times the righteous will fall and rise again. Okay? So, if you try to work on your patience, you can expect that if you're righteous, you're going to fall 7 times, at least. 7 is just a sign of a natural state. The natural state is you're going to fall. And it's okay, you be patient with yourself when you fall. It's perfectly fine. You know that a heart monitor, you look at an EKG, right? The EKG, they put these sensors on you, and it rates your heart. It goes up and down and up and down and up and down. And sometimes you think yourself, up and down and up and down and up and down. Wouldn't it be better if it's just like straight? No, then you're dead. Exactly. Guess what? In your own work as a Jew, straight is no good. Up and down is healthy. You go up and you'll fall down. But you know what's going to happen when you fall down? You're going to get up again. And you're going to climb higher. You may fall down again. And then you're going to get up again. And think of a little child. A little baby. How does baby learn to walk? You know how it learns to walk? It falls. It falls. It gets up again. And you know what happens again? It falls. That's the natural state of how we grow. We fall. We make mistakes. And we need to learn to be patient with ourselves in that process. Again, our goal is to be the best we can possibly be. And in the process, we need to be patient with ourselves. Our sages also tell us that not to jump. Jacob's ladder in this week's parsha. Jacob has a ladder. He has a dream, right? And there's a ladder coming from his head all the way up into the heavens. And we're going to talk about this. We're going to say this. I'm going to save it for tomorrow's class. We'll do that little short of our Torah. So those of you listening now, you're going to get double portion. You'll hear it again tomorrow. Why is Jacob's ladder a ladder? Why couldn't it be a nice 21st century hypersonic jet? Okay? that goes from him all the way up into the heavens. Instead, you have a ladder. And it says, Olim v'yordim, they're going up and they're going down. Sages tell us, any step you take needs to be a step. Don't run. Don't jump. Take a step. A ladder has rungs. You got it. In order to climb a ladder, ascending or descending, right? If you want to stay safe, you take one step at a time. Take one step at a time. There's no need to run. There's no need to jump. There's no way to get it all in one. No need to get it all in one day. There's a natural progression. There's a natural step that follows the previous step that follows that previous step. Okay? Is it okay? Also, we see in the tractate, tafasta maruba lo tafasta. If you try to grab too much, you lose it all. You don't get anything. You fall right off the cliff. Okay? Never give up. That's the key. Never give up. Okay, let's continue. The closer we are with others, the more careful we must be with our patience with them. A friend with whom we meet, but they bring out the worst in us. Right? We all know such people. They bring out, you don't know why, they just bring out the worst in you. A neighbor. And the most difficult is patience in the home. Patience with our children, patience with our spouse. Just being patient. It's okay. Again, patience we defined as what? When things don't go the way I want it to go. It's fine. It doesn't have to. Guess what? This world is spinning. Anybody know that this world is spinning? It's spinning very fast. We don't realize it. It's spinning pretty fast. No, I'm not so comfortable. I want it to stop. Well, too bad. You're not in control. You're not in control of everything.
That's the word I wrote down over here.
Control.
It's
That's
about
it.
control.
That's it. The key marriage advice is a groom. What my grandfather writes this is the first pointer that every young married man or soon-to-be married man needs to know is that when you get married, as a man, your job is to be patient. That's your job. And you're going to be tested, you know how many times? Every time you go to a wedding. Every time you go to a wedding, you're going to be tested with patience. Honey, what time do you want to leave? 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock, you're ready in your suit and tie. Ladies, can you identify with this? Right? Perhaps not being ready at that 5 o'clock marker. Right? Because men, it's easy for them to get, what do we have to do? Change our shirt? Change our, get into a bow tie? Right? What's the big deal? All right? So we're like, come on. You told me 5 o'clock. It's already 5:15. Let's go. What's the big deal? It's just 15 minutes. You never wasted 15 minutes of your life? Right? Watch ESPN. You wasted a minute right there. Right? Right? Instead, you can bask in the joy of being patient for those 15 minutes. Every minute that I am waiting brings me absolute joy. That's what you should say to yourself. Okay? There's a burden that a young married man needs to undertake, which is why he writes, he gives her a ketubah. She doesn't give him. We had a wedding here, by the way. Major celebration. Okay? So we had the grand opening Saturday night. And I want to thank my friend Izzy, who's actually watching us now, who helped us. He's the guy I spoke to at B&H. He's the projector guru. So if you need anybody, you need help with a projector, this is the guy to speak to at B&H. So as soon as we're done with our event Saturday night, someone rushes in here. Like, we need help, what's the matter? Right? Well, we're supposed to have a wedding in the synagogue two doors down, and the chuppah was supposed to be outside, but it's pouring rain. There's no way we're going to have a chuppah tomorrow outside. It's supposed to forecast is for it to rain another 24, 36 hours. Can we do the chuppah in the Torch Center? Right? I said, absolutely. Absolutely. You'll be kidding. Finally, we've inaugurated this building. Right? Now it's an official building. What's the first mitzvah we're going to do in it? We're going to have a wedding. So we had an amazing chuppah last night over here. It was absolutely stunning. You know what that groom standing under that chuppah needs to accept upon himself? He's giving her a ketubah. You know what he's writing in that ketubah? You know what he's essentially saying by giving her that ketubah? I am going to be patient. Through thick and thin. Through every challenge. Through every stage. I'm here with you. I'm accepting that burden of always being patient. Of always being loving. Of always being kind. Of always being giving. I'm accepting that burden. Because now it's no longer just me. Now it's us. Alright? Till now I lived as a single guy. So as a single guy, right? It's just me. I don't have to worry about anybody else. But once I get married, I realize it's not only me. That's where patience comes in. There are going to be many surprises. In every relationship there are surprises. I didn't know this. I didn't know that. Guess what? That's life. Life is full of surprises. Not everything has to be scripted. It's fine. Strengthen the trait of patience. You'll have a very, very happy life. And a very happy wife.
Can't have one without the other.
You got a question? All right. Be careful. Don't reach it. I think you're asking a question, right? It's not enough to not to be angered or strong-minded. We see plenty who belittle other people without being impatient, right? They belittle other people, right? Or we see a trait that is bad, someone who's lazy or late, or they talk all day, they yap. Accept them for who they are completely. It's fine, okay? It's not only okay, I won't get angry, right? But don't forget, you're not perfect either. Or at least I'm not. I don't know about everyone else in the room. I told you you're perfect, right? You probably are perfect, right? But I'm not perfect. So I'm demanding perfection from someone else when I'm not perfect, right? How hypocritical, right? We're not perfect, okay? So it's okay if someone else is not perfect as well. Okay, it's getting late. So we have one of two options. We can either do next week part 2 of patience, because there's still a lot to cover, or next week part 2. Okay. You'll be patient with me. Okay. So have a good evening, everybody. Let's just take a few minutes before we turn off the Facebook Live. I just want to, if you have a sheet here, we're going to discuss defining the trait, evaluating where you're holding in this trait. You have a few minutes now. Then we're going to, what is the next part, number 3?
Work on.
The work, the avodah of this trait, and then the last is the Kabbalah, accepting on yourself. On the back of the sheet, you have notes that you can take the entire week. Everybody on Facebook, thank you so much for joining us. Join us again next week. Please share it, and if you like it, then please like it on Facebook. And we look forward to seeing you next week, Mondays at 7:30. Looking forward to seeing everyone. Have a wonderful evening.